So now let's look at the problem over here, task 9. So over here we have got two classes, student class and then test student class, and we have been asked to write these two classes, CSE student and CSE111 student, and I've copied this code to NetBeans. So initially we had two classes, test student class and student class. So in the student class we have got MSG, and there's a certain MSG that was written previously from before, and this is the very method in the student class. So over here, as you can see, now in the main method we have created a student object and a CSE student object and CSE111 student object, but since these two didn't exist, so we created classes of these two. So as you can see, we have created classes of these two objects. Now the first thing that's getting printed is s.msg. That means it's going to the student class because s is the instance of student, so it's going to the student class, and it's trying to find a variable called msg, a global variable, student class, and it's trying to find a global variable msg. So it's printing this, so it has printed this one. Now this next line is going to print cs.msg. What's cs? cs is student type, a student class, so it's going to go to the CSE student class, and it's going to print the message that's inside it, CSE student class. So initially there was no message over here. I just wrote this class by myself. I wrote this MSG and it was null because I didn't know what to write over here. But how did I get to know that the message has to be this? By seeing the output. The output is when you print this, it prints this message, right? I want to transfer to CSE, so this has to be over here, and same goes for CSE111 message. So I have seen the output, and then I've reverse engineered it to my code. So yeah, these are quite simple. Now let's move on to this statement, print shout s. So what's happening? Print shout is a method over here, a static method. So we are passing the instance of student class over here, and yes, it's first of all it's printing this very line over here, and then it's printing the message that's inside the student class. Goes to the student class, it prints this message, I love you, right over there, and then it's calling a method that's inside the student class. It goes to the student class, it's searching for a method called shout. It finds this method which is returning a string. So it's returning the string. What string is it? MSG. So MSG already has I love you stored inside it, so it's going to return the same very string. So it's going to print out I love you. So see, first it printing the dotted lines, and then I love you, and then again I love you. This first time it's because of the MSG global variable, and second time because the method is being called and it's returning the same very message. So yeah, that's quite normal. Now this very statement, as you can see, again we're doing the same thing, but over here what's happening is we are not passing a student type object or instance of a student. We are passing an instance of CS student, CSE student. So this initially CSE student has no relation with student. It has no idea. Both of them are completely two different classes. But as you can see in this method, in this very code that they have given, they're passing the CS, which is a completely different thing, a different class to student, to a parameter which is taking student type objects, something that is of student type. That means it has to be something similar to this very code, that student s can actually accept things which are type CSE student. That means CSE student is a child class of student. That means CSE student needs to extend the student class, which is a parent class. So and same goes for CSE111. So as you can see, I have extended the student class from both of these. So now I just draw it a bit for you to understand. So what's happening is this very code over here, this line, It's basically a CSE student type of box, but it's named CS, and it has an address over here. Address may be, for example, Dhaka. See, it does not have this very object. It has the address of the object. This object is somewhere in Dhaka. So this CSE student, this very object is somewhere in Dhaka. So when you come to this box, it doesn't have the object inside it. It gives you the address. So using that address, you go to the address where Dhaka is, and then you find this object over here. So this is what this line does. Now when you write this line, my bad, this line, so you're creating a box that's named S, but it's type of student. So when you pass this CS and you are trying to say, okay, now I'm passing CS, which is this box, and to something which is going to accept CSE student type of things. That means whatever is inside CSE student is going to get copied inside this student S, right? So the address is getting copied, and now student S, this box is going to point in the same direction. It's going to point at Dhaka. That means student S equals to new CSE student. This is exactly the same line as we have written over here, but they have got three different lines which are over here, but these are these lines are working exactly the same as the line we have written over here. So same thing. So now, as you can see, since now it's a parent class, that means you need to extend it. So I extended the student class over here. Okay, so now what will happen is, when you print this, my bad, so what's happening is, when you've written this code, the left side of the code, you have created an instance of student. That means you have created a box of student type. This very thing, this happens during compile time. So what is compile time? So when you run a code, the total time it takes, it's called a build time. Now this build time comprises of two different types of time. First of all, compile time, and then run time. These two, when adds up to be the build time. Maybe the compile time takes 2 seconds, the run time takes 5 seconds, then total time for the program to get completed is 7 seconds. Alright, so the left side of your program, it happens during compile time, and the object, the actual creation of the object, it happens during runtime. And by the way, I will be very try to make it very simple for you guys, and since we're not in class, I will not go into further details. It will be very confusing for you guys. I'll just show you some a very simple example so that you can easily grasp it. However, if you still have further problems regarding what I'm going to show later, within a couple of minutes, you just write that in the comment section below in the classroom. Then I'll again make a video regarding it, or find some better videos in YouTube so that you guys can easily understand. So why I've showed you this is because when you've written this code, what's actually happening is it's created the student class, and know what's in the student class. It has got an MSG, and it has got a method called shout. So this is student, and then in the runtime, it is created a CSE student type of class, an object of CSE student class, CSE student. So CSE student, what does this have inside this class? Same as the MSG. Why? Because it is extending all the things that are inside the student classes, in student class, extending everything that's inside the student class. That means it has these methods, this method and also the message. Both of them are present over here. However, there's a very important difference. This MSG and this MSG, both of them are not same. This is very important, by the way. If this is a completely different box and this is a completely different box, even though both of them have the same name, but they are in two completely different classes. So if this holds CSE, for example, this will not hold CSC by default. You need to set a value to it, otherwise it will be null. You need to, maybe if you set it to EEE, this would not give you any error, because these two are two completely different boxes, maybe in two different parts of a memory, but with the same name. But they won't say, okay, it's an error, because it's not giving an error because both of them are in two completely different classes. It's holding EEE and this is holding CSC. So at first what's happening during compile time, this is getting created, MSG and this shout method, and then during runtime this CSS student extends it and it takes in all the things that are inside student, it inherits them, and it has got a message box, that's a global variable, and a method. Now these two global variables, maybe it could have been int, maybe it in this case these are int, whatever that might be, those have to be completely different values inside it, because these are completely different classes, by the way. And this shout method, however, the methods are not they're not treated the same way, because over here you have got a method in the student class, and in the CSE student class you also have a shout method, and this very method needs to be overridden over here. That means what you need to do is, when you write this method, this very shout method is gonna search, okay, is there a method called shout? For example, if you run this code, what will happen, it will come to this class and it will search for something called MSG. Well, is there anything called MSG in this class? Yes, there is. Then it will not go down and look for MSG over here. So for this type of code, it will not go down and it will not look for MSG over here. It will print this CSC. And then if you want to print the shout method, what will it do? Okay, now I come to the shout method. Now I will obviously return the string, this very string, but at first let me see what type of object it is. It's a CSE student object. Then it will check, okay, has CSE student overridden the shout method? If he has, then no, I will not print the shout method, or I will not send this shout method. I will go down and print and use this shout method. See, this is a bit confusing. So the variables are handled differently and the methods are handled differently in this case. So during this, when you write this code, it will come to this class, it will see, okay, this is MSG. Do I need to go down? No, since it's a variable, I will print this one. It's done. And then if you're trying to access the method, it will, since this student class is created during compile time, it will come over here, it will see, okay, this is the shout method. However, has the child overridden the shout method? Maybe there are multiple childs. It will check, has my child, the CS student child class, has it overridden the shout method? If he has, then it will go down and it will use this method, whatever is written inside this method. It would not run this method. I know this is a bit confusing, and I think the more times you watch it and the more times you try to understand it, try to draw it on pen and paper, it will get a bit more easier for you to understand. So it first of all, it handles the variables differently and the methods differently. Why? Because see, the code is written in this manner. First it creates the student object, student instance is type student. That's why this student thing is getting created. So it will first come from top to bottom. First it will see, okay, we are done creating the student, we have set the message, Now we're creating the shout method. The methods over here, it will go to the runtime and it will create the C student, and then during while trying to run the shout method, it will see, okay, now I've created the child. Now I'll see, since it's a method, has the child overridden it? Yes, he has. Then if there is written anything inside this method, it would not see, I will not see what's written inside the method. It will directly go to the child and it will run the overridden method. So why I've said all these things is because let's look at this thing, the output specially. We have understood till here. So over here, let's look at the output. When you're running this code, what's happening is basically it's going over here, it's passing the CS, so the address of this very object. So first of all, we are printing this line, this dotted line. Yes, it's all right. So then what you're doing is we are printing s.message. So this very thing, so it will go over there, it will go to the top, it will see, okay, now we are coming from top to bottom. So first of all, it will try to see if there is something called MSG right over here. I don't know how it came back. If there is something called MSG inside the student class, yes there is, then it will print the MSG first. That's why you can see the I love view is being printed first, and then it will come to this part. Okay, now let's see, we're over here, we are done printing the MSG. Now let's move on to this method, shout method, s.shout. Now it will check, is this the method, is this a method? Yes, it's a method. No, I'm not going to see the method of the parent. I'll see this, has this method being overridden by the child CSE student? Yes, no. I'll just see, I've overridden this method. Yes, I have. Then it will go over here and see the output. I want to transfer to CSE. So what's happening over here, it's going to print this message. First of all, it's coming from top to bottom, it's going to print the message of student, and then as soon as it's finding a method, it's saying to itself, no, I'm going to go to my child class and see if that child has overridden the method. Yes, it has overridden the method over here. Why have I overridden this method? Look at this output. First of all, it just prints the message I love view, but the output is this very output. The shout method is sending a string that is present inside the CSE student class. That's I want to transfer to CSE. That's why I'm overriding this method. So that's why this string is being returned over here. Now same goes for CSE111. CSE111 comes over here, same as this, and it prints a line. And now since student is a parent class, it comes from top to bottom, it checks, okay, is the MSG message present in the parent class? Yes, it is present in the parent class. Now what is it? I love view. It prints it out, I love view. Then it moves on to the second class. Okay, I will print out what's written in the student shout method. Okay, I'll print out what's written over here, but has the child, the CSE student 111 student, overridden the method? Yes, he has, but he has overridden the method. Why did I override the method? You can see over here the output is I love view and then I love Java programming. That's basically the MSG, the message of 111 student. So I've returned this over here. I've returned this this I love Java programming over here. So kind of works like that. However, if you would have wanted that, okay, the output is I love view, I love view, and I love view, I love view, then you didn't need to override this method. You just leave it as it is. You just don't need to write this code. So what it will see, you'd have checked that, okay, I have printed the MSG. Now let's come to the shout method. First I have to check, okay, has my student class or my child class overridden this method? I will come over here, and if I wouldn't have written this method, I will say, okay, no, he hasn't overridden this method at that time. Then it will print this message. I love view, I love view. I'll just show you an example. Maybe I didn't write this overridden method, then what will be the output? The output will be, let me just run it for you. I love view, I love view, because it's coming from top to bottom, as I've said before. From the student class, it's gonna come down to the child class, and first of all it's gonna print the message, and then it's going to come to the shout method, and since it's a method, it's gonna check whether the child has overridden the method. No, the child hasn't overridden the method. Then it will go back. Okay, I'll print what's in the parent class. What's in the parent class? What is returning? I love view. But over here the output is not I love view, it's the message of what's written in the CSE student class. So that means I have to override this method. Oh, sorry for that. I have to override this method. Okay, what's happening? I have no idea. And same goes for this as well. I have overridden this method. So now let's check the output. See, so far so good, and see. This output, same as what's written over here. So yeah, this was the solution to this this very problem, and this is a bit confusing, I know. However, I just want to add one more thing to it, that what have we done over here? The very code has given us this output is only because we have the instance variable is type of it's student type. However, if this would have been of CSE student type, if we didn't return anything over here, maybe this is of type CSE student, it's of type CSE student, and I'll just comment this messages out. I just want to show you what is going to be the output. So over here, what's going to do, it's going to create 3 objects, no problem. Now in this line, it's going to print the message of cs.msg. that means it's going to print out the message of all 3 of them. Let's print the message of all 3 of them, just like this, and then it's going to send the cs method over here. So CS is being sent to something called CSE type of class. So CS is also a type of CSE student, so it will have no problem. Then s.msg is going to print what? It's going to go to the CSE student class, it's going to print this message, and then since it has no child, it is not at that moment, it won't extend anyone, so since CSE student has no child, it will not look into its child, it will just print a shout method, because it has got a parent but CSE student hasn't got a child. If there is a child, then that, for example, if CSE111 is extending CSE student, then CSE student would have had a child called CSE111 student, but it has no immediate child. So in this program, what would have happened is CSE student, it has no child, so it will print out the message I want to transfer to CSE, and then it will check the shout method. Okay, do I have any child? No, I don't have any child. Then it will run this normally. So I just run it once for you to see. This is the normal output if we would have written the code in this way, not keeping the student as reference, student as a reference variable. So hope you have understood this. I know it's a bit confusing. I'll be expecting a lot of problems related to this certain task, and if you have any sort of problem, just comment below or just mail me if you have any problem. And this is a very important topic. Okay.